If you were talking to that person in real life and they said, I'm 26, nobody respects me, and you're talking to them on Zoom and you notice that they speak so softly that they sound scared and timid.
I likely would have agreed with you because
Okay.
after speaking in front of people for 30 years, I really do understand the necessity of, eye-to-eye contact and so on. So here I would sit these students in front of the online course and they would answer it and I would grade them. They would automatically get this grade.
She is the author of AI Secrets, Unstoppable Business. She's also the creator of something new, something exciting, the very first digital interactive life coach. With every new medium, old mediums continue to exist. So it's not like one has to replace the other.
I have guides how to use ChatGPT. Well, this is really no different. If you're looking for a shorter answer, just say, I'd like a shorter answer on this.
Now, Howard Stern makes a lot of money, and that's the whole radio world in some ways is bigger than the publishing world.
I decided that I would change the way that I go forward in life. And so I bring that to my coaching.
Our special guest today is an internationally renowned coach, expert on social media and business. She is the author of AI Secrets, Unstoppable Business. She's also the creator of something new, something exciting, the very first digital interactive life coach. I'm very happy to bring to our show today, Katherine Loucaidou. Katherine, thanks for joining us.
Oh, I love being here. Thank you.
And the beauty of Amazon is if you hear something you like, if you see a product or a book you like, you don't have to sit there and write it down, send yourself a memo, put a sticky tack on the refrigerator. Boom, one click, and you can buy AI Secrets or anything else when you're on Amazon. I will point out, this is not a review copy. I've read every single page, and there are notes, some pages turned down. This is a copy I bought of AI Secrets that Katherine authored. And what I love about your book is it forces people to really think about every aspect of how our society, our business life, the rest of our life is being touched by artificial intelligence.
Without even realizing, right?
There are bits and pieces that anyone can see in the news. But it's time all of us think about how this has an impact on every aspect of our life. Tell us what was resonating with your audience the most in your book, AI Secrets.
The overwhelming response that I have received is that I was able to distill a very complex new subject into everyday language, how it can be used in an everyday way. So you don't have to be a scientist. You don't have to be a tech genius to understand what it is that I've talked about in this book. So how do we take this very vast, complex subject of AI, which for some people is a scary thought, right? We grew up with the idea of
I'm going to lose my job.
Right. Robots, spaceships, things flying, when in fact, you've already been living with it for decades, like not even the last year or two. It's been decades. This is not new. It came out in 1956. So, this is all I wanted to do. I just wanted to open some eyes and say, look, it's really not that scary. Why don't we understand a little bit more about it, how it has been inserted into our lives without even realizing. And if you want to adapt it more and create a more efficient life, here's how you can do it. And then that's how I wrote this book. A lot of my teaching background came into this. I have been teaching and guiding and consulting people for 30 years. So I understand the different levels of understanding of the way people take in knowledge. And that's how I wrote that.
And I've read a lot of books on artificial intelligence, and some of them are this thick and use a lot of coding language, and it can be intimidating. And I have zero technological prowess and technology background. I do not have a PhD in Python or computer science. I will say people who feel like they might be intimidated, you're not going to be intimidated. It is something you can get through in an evening and feel like, okay, I'm now ready for the next step. Right. Whether it's integrating AI in your small business, whether you are a content creator, an author, an expert, a speaker, a coach. I mean, I think anyone and everyone's going to want to use artificial intelligence more effectively now. I mean, everyone uses it now. If you've ever contacted Siri or you bought something on Amazon because they recommended something, we are all affected pretty much every second of the day by artificial intelligence. The question is, are you going to be subjected to it to help other people in their business ventures and help Jeff Bezos make more money? Or are you going to use it to help yourself? So that's why I like this book, is it really gets you to think about every aspect of how artificial intelligence is touching our life. By the way, if you're interested in the book, you can look at the carousel. And for some people, whether you're on a cell phone or an iPad or a computer, it could be on the left side of your screen. It could be at the bottom of your screen. It could be on the right side of the screen. With one click, you can go ahead and buy AI Secrets now. If you're watching from other platforms, you can just go to Amazon.
Very easy.
Get the book.
Yeah, easy to find. Yes.
Right now. Of all the aspects of artificial intelligence, what's exciting you the most right now as far as an impact on your own business and the people you help?
I'll tell you, it has made me more efficient in my day. And so this is what I love about efficiency, is the more I have help with AI, and I say help, I didn't say it's taking over, but it is assisting me. It is enhanced my communication. And I was a communication professor, but it has enhanced the way that I communicate. It has kept me on track in terms of schedule. The email app that I use, which is AI powered, sorts my emails into priority, junk already. So all I have to do is just sort through a few at a time and not go and scan this list every morning, which is what most people end up having to do. In general, I've even used it to lose 8 pounds in the last 30 days.
Tell us about, how did that happen?
Oh, it is phenomenal. So we know that I've created this new innovation, and which we will be speaking about later on. But what I've done is, once AI gets to know you, understands you, the better input you give it. So the more information you can provide it about yourself, about what your goal is, it will then tailor exactly what you need. So over the age of 50, it is more difficult for women to lose weight. Any women who are watching this right now, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I know what she's talking about. I was that too. And I have, some health issues. I've had health issues in the past. I no longer have them. But what I did was I gave in my health history. I said, this is what I want to achieve by this point, which was 3 months from now. I said, I would like to, it has to be very healthy. It has to include a lot of protein. And as I did that, it then spat out, okay, here's where you need to begin. So here is the overarching idea. You have to eat this amount of protein, this amount of carbs, and so on per day. And I said, okay, what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to create a 30-day plan and a daily, weekly plan for me. And it did that. And so here I am, day 31, and I've lost 8 pounds. And so I then put in, and I track it every day. I then put that back into AI. And I said, I'd like you to give me the trajectory for the next 3 months of what this looks like weekly. And it was able to do that because it's predictive analysis. And it's just been incredible. Absolutely incredible. And then I insert, the type of exercise I want to be doing, how much of it I need to do. So it is life-changing.
And how do you use it to then motivate? I mean, I would love something like that, but I'd frankly love the AI in the form of a robot that will come and say, TJ, get off the couch and get back on the pickleball court, because you played 2 days ago and yesterday, but you haven't played today. Yeah. You got to make it every day. Yeah. That would obviously be a great motivator. We're not quite there yet with having our own personal AI robots. How are you using the information about what would be healthy to then motivate you to eat differently or to exercise more?
So AI is not going to change your motivation, right? That's intrinsic. So my goal to lose weight supersedes me feeling like, oh, but I don't get to eat a cookie today. Well, my motivation supersedes that craving. And so therefore, when you want something bad enough, and I learned this even overcoming my health issues, when you want something bad enough, you will achieve it if you want it more than your excuses. Mm-hmm. And so that's, for me, this is what it is. But I also love the fact that I can stay accountable. I can check in with my AI every day, and I can say, okay, this was my goal today, and it will be my cheerleader. So great, Katherine, you're doing such a good job. Okay, here's the plan for today. So I'm not inconveniencing a coach. I don't have to deal with the emotions of anyone else. I have my own cheerleader and coach in front of me on my phone at any time of the day, who already knows who I am, my health history, and the type of diet I should be following. I have been in restaurants and I have inputted the menu, and I've said, you know the diet that I'm on. Here is a picture of the menu. What should I choose? I actually did that 2 weeks ago when my mother was sitting in front of me. She's like, what are you doing? I said, hang on a second. She's going to tell me what I should eat right now. And she said, you must be kidding me. I said, no, watch and see. And that's what came back. She said, remove the bun, eat the meat, have the salad, and you're good. So,
and folks, we are not in a science fiction movie here. This is today. This is reality. This is the current state of AI. Yeah. And Katherine, I mean no disrespect to you, but I mean, you're not a computer science, founding PhD from Dartmouth on this field. You're someone who's taken available technologies and just thought about it and focused on it and used it to create something for yourself and for your clients, correct?
Absolutely. And I think that the key word here is curiosity. Do you have a curiosity to improve your life? Do you have a curiosity to improve your health, to improve your business, to become more efficient? I do. My goal in life is to get to a tropical island where I can work remotely and enjoy life to the fullest. But in order to do that, I have to start.
Why are you living in Canada?
I know, it's like the opposite of what I just described. Yeah. But
having worked in a lot of tropical islands and having lived on, I guess, semi-tropical Miami Beach, and now I'm in Palm Beach. Be careful what you wish for. It's really fun for about 5 days, but then it can be boring if you don't have all the other.
I did live on a Mediterranean island for 15 years, so I know what island life is like. But I think when you are in different chapters of your life, it resonates differently, right? So I'm not looking for the hustle and bustle in 5 years' time. I'm going to look for, okay, let's work on longevity now. Let's work on just enjoying life instead of always being busy. And that's what I'm having AI help me do, is create the enjoyment rather than the busyness, because it's taking over the tedious tasks for me.
Well, I could tell you for a number of years, I've been fascinated by AI, but in the last 2 months, especially, this may sound odd to you. I try to read 3 books a week. The last 2 hours of the night, I'm reading books on artificial intelligence. So this is a part of my library. I typically read them on my Kindle, but I also like paperback. By the way, is your book going to be available on Kindle or audio download?
It actually is available on Kindle. It is in the Amazon store on Kindle as well. And I
think when I bought it, I looked in it. Either I clicked the wrong area. It wasn't available yet.
It's definitely there. And an audio version will be coming very, very soon. I'm hoping to be able to record that this summer. But I would love to point to a part of the book that I've noticed, because I can see the back end, that there are QR codes where I wanted to help people get started using AI. And so I have included QR codes. One is how to master ChatGPT for your business. And you just scan the QR code and it goes to some instructions that I've given you. And there is an AI-powered wellness generator, a recipe generator, where all you have to do is put in the ingredients in your fridge this evening, and it will tell you a healthy meal that you can create with them. So
So lots of interesting tips. Again, I found the book insightful. And again, so much of the value of a book like this is just forcing you to think differently about every single thing you do in your life. If you are an author, an expert, a coach, a trainer, a speaker, because what do we all do all day long? We're communicating, whether it's from the stage in front of 5,000 people, whether it's typing an email to one prospect. It's all communication. It's all processing information in here and pushing it out. Well, guess what AI is really good at? That exact thing. And
absolutely.
it in many cases I found with my own clone, it does it a lot better than I do.
Yes.
Is it completely better than everything I do? No. But if I ask myself, TJ, what did you think of the Best Academy Award acceptance speech from 2013? I have no idea. If I ask my clone that, it tells you exactly what I said the day after 2013.
And may I add, in a very diplomatic way, you know? I find that the clones are very diplomatic, and their responses are the way we probably should respond to a lot of things, but our emotions take over. And so that's what I love. You know, I gave my clone to my husband to try, and he looked at me, he said, you know, I think she may be a little nicer than you. So I said, okay, well, there you go. Now you've got an alternate version of me.
Well, I gave my clone to my 11-year-old daughter, said, hey, you can talk to daddy anytime you want. And she looked at me like, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard in my life. Why would I want to do that? But it can't appeal to everyone. That's okay. But there are a lot of applications. Version. Katherine, last words on what you think people are going to benefit from by reading the book.
I think they're going to have a wonderful, better understanding of what AI is and really how it can enhance. And if I could put that in big, bold letters across the screen right now, how it can enhance your life to become more efficient. And the reason, and I'm going to give you the reasons for that. Why do we want to become more efficient? So you can get time back. And then you've got that time back to spend with family or go on trips. That's what AI is helping us do. Get our time back so that we can appreciate and enjoy life a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. And also time to think and do more research and thought and reflection on more ideas to help more people.
Be the creative people that we are, because that is the beauty of being a human being, is we have this wonderful creativity that we don't always get to tap into because we are so busy. Yeah. And so why don't we go back to that and go and be able to do a few more things that we may not have been able to do because we were taking care of tedious emails and all of these other things.
Yeah. I mean, any creator, anyone in the creative field has to spend a lot of time doing tedious, boring stuff. I mean, Michelangelo had to go into the quarries and spend months finding the best piece of marble. It was an important part. He couldn't figure out how to do that and outsource that. As creators, we still have to spend so much of our time writing a proposal to a client that's pretty similar to other proposals. And now we can have our AI clone do it. Again, the book, I'm an obsession for the last couple of months, and that is the concept of digital clones. And in a moment, Katherine, I'm going to ask how you even describe this to people, because here's my frustration, which is if I say digital clone, people are like, oh yeah, you know, I've used that. I've gotten questions answered on Expedia before for years. No big deal. It's not just answering a question in text. There's audio. People say, oh, well, audio. Yeah, I've done that on, calling my bank, and the audio AI talks to me. No big deal. And I said, well, wait a minute. What if it's in video? And then they say, oh yeah, a video clone. I've seen Synthesis do that, where I make a clone and then I type up the script and it can say that, and I can be on the beach in Cyprus or in Miami, and my clone can make my YouTube video. And I said, well, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a one-on-one conversation where it seems like you're really talking to a real coach, a real tutor, a real expert. They're listening to you, talking to you, and you see them and hear them. And that's when they say, oh, Is that possible? Really?
Mm-hmm.
But it takes me a while to get there. I want to know, how do you even explain this concept to people?
So personally, I don't ever use the word clone. What I do explain it as is it's on demand. Everyone loves on demand now. We are a I need it now society. And so, therefore, when I was searching for this solution, that was what I was looking for. How can I provide business, mindset, wellness coaching 24/7 on demand in the most affordable way possible in your pocket at all times? This is the way that I do it. And so then the conversation about being a clone. And so I just say that, I was able to pass my knowledge on to a digital clone, but someone who can be there when I can't. It's really what this is. It's my stand-in.
Okay. And here we have information about your clone. And again, here I am using this word I probably shouldn't use because it is scary to people. But you can tell your marketing background and communication background, because you're not talking about, I have a digital clone with AI, blah, 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 megahertz. You're talking about users' actual feelings and clients' feelings. Are you feeling overwhelmed by business growth and seeking clear direction? Unlock 24/7 expert coaching. Tell us a little more about how you came up with this positioning and how you see this evolving. And you've got different membership tiers.
Yeah. So this is actually still we're working on it. And I'll tell you why. It's a work in progress. I used to worry about perfection. Okay. I used to be that perfectionist. As a teacher, I wanted everything to be perfect when I walked into a classroom. And over the years, I have realized that perfection actually holds me back. So I created that landing page because I really wanted to get Katherine AI out there, my AI digital clone. But here's what's interesting when you release something to the public is you begin to understand that there are still gaps of knowledge in people not really understanding what it is. How will it help me? So I needed to go back to the drawing board, and something that I will actually be uploading today on that landing page will be me showing how to use it. So I have this little video. I'm actually just going to do it right after we're done here, upload it to the page and I put a chat bot on the page for anyone to be able to try to use it. It's important that people have hands-on knowledge of these digital clones. Otherwise, in their mind, is it like, is it like a futuristic movie? Is someone appearing in front of me? It's not understanding. And how is it different from Google? That was one of the interesting questions I got from my beta testers, because I've been beta testing it for 2 months with people. And I actually was able to take entrepreneurs and leaders from industries all across, finance, real estate, you name it. I've taken different people and I said, please beta test this for me and give me the good, the bad, and the ugly of how you feel about this. And that's actually what came up. The first question that was always typed into Katherine AI was, who are you and what do I do? And so what I began to understand is, if you don't have previous experience with a coach, you may not actually know how to interact with an AI coach. So maybe we need to take a step back and first understand, how is a coach helpful to you? And how is a coach different than Google? Well, Google is just a search. It gives us an output and we're done. A coach is interactive. It will get to know you, as I would, ask you questions. How can I move you further along your journey? That's the difference between Google or a chatbot where I'm asking a question and an interaction with an AI coach who really is there to be your cheerleader, as I was talking about earlier with even losing weight, but it will also do the same for your business. So Katherine AI, I'm having trouble thinking of some social media posts for my window cleaning business today. Can you help me? Oh, good morning. Of course I can help you, right? It's this interaction. That is what our digital clones are meant to be. A wonderful person or thing to go to where I can have this interaction if I can't have this person right now. Because as human beings, we have to create these appointments and so on. You don't have to do that with our digital AI.
Our digital cloning, and regular viewers here know that I'm a big believer that this could be seen in the realm of communication as bigger than the internet, bigger than Gutenberg. This idea of empowering people, especially experts and ideas that are useful to other people, to have scalable one-on-one conversations with anyone in the world, to have scalable coaching experiences one-on-one is radically different from a YouTube video. And I'm all in favor of a YouTube video. We're on here now, but that's one to many. So Katherine, it sounds like you've done more testing than I have, which is fantastic. Here's what I'm still trying to figure out is how do we go from people going to it saying, oh, wow, that's really cool. It sounds like you. It answered my question. Great, see you. To really turning this into a highly valued transformational experience. Because people, as you mentioned, you get Google for free. You get an answer to a question on Quora for free. Bing answers something for free. Wikipedia will give you information for free. People don't pay for information. They do pay for transformational experiences. And what I'm trying to figure out is how do we really convey that when someone comes to the clone? Part of it is, I think any of us on the ground floor of this have to craft the instructions to our clone so that it's kind of quickly getting people's attention and leading them on a path. But I'm wondering what other insights from your initial testing. The other thing I'm grappling with is what do we really call this? Because it's like I traditionally have called myself a trainer because I work with people for a full day doing public speaking training or media training. I typically don't call myself a coach because it's typically a one-day thing. And then I went into online training and courses and have a couple hundred courses. Then people can do whatever they want. And my big frustration in life has been when I can work with someone one-on-one, a president, a prime minister, a Nobel Peace Prize winner, an executive, they love it every time. They seek radical transformation or a small group. When people take my courses, I get good reviews. It's been great money, but most of them don't really do the work. They don't really record themselves. They don't really get better. It's just, I got a course for $10. I looked at a few videos, didn't really help them. Because there's not that ability to hold them accountable. So I'm really hoping that the digital clone can be more like the real live experience because people value that. They pay a lot of money for it. They don't really value a YouTube video or even an online course because it's so inexpensive. So I'm wondering what other thoughts you have on how we can get people to really see this as kind of the highest level of a coaching experience that creates transformation, because I haven't figured it out yet.
So here's what I have observed, and this is what I do, right? I like to be a third-party observer, remove how I feel, remove any bias I may have, and I go through the conversations that are being had with the different beta testers. What I did do is I left it open on the platform for anyone to be able to use. And what I was surprised at was the amount of anonymous users who started using it. And they are actually the ones who helped me the most, because what I noticed was the first two interactions were very surface level, but something triggered inside of them as they continued to use Katherine AI, and they realized that the information and the strategies they were being given were actually helpful. And so because Katherine AI always ends her answer with another question. She was able to lead them forward in their thought process in where they wanted to be. And I have one particular, can I give you one particular example that
Sure.
I observed? So I do not know who this person is, but they introduced themselves to Katherine AI as a 26-year-old who is an entrepreneur of a tech company, has hundreds of people under him. And I thought, well, this is going to be an interesting conversation. And so he went in and he said, I have a problem because people are not respecting my age in my company. And he said, it's my company and I don't know what to do about this. And because there is 30 years of knowledge of me helping people and coaching people and mindset, she was able to say, listen, I understand how you're feeling. You know, and then she talked about what he's feeling right now. And she said, what I would like to know is, and she asked question 1, 2, 3. And then he answered. And he said, well, you know, I'm thinking of, I have a birthday coming up. I was going to give everyone $2,600 to each employee as a way to recognize my birthday. Interestingly enough, she said that could be a good strategy, but is buying people's favor what you're looking for? And I thought, you know, what a great conversation she was having.
Mm-hmm.
So
and very diplomatic. It wasn't just, that's a stupid idea to waste money. Like
very, very diplomatic, because she was trying to get to the bottom of, as I would, what his real motivations are for doing this. Like, why do you really want to give people $2,600? And so what that did was, you know, she kept asking, well, are you sure maybe it's not just your perception of yourself, right? Do people actually think that you're too young to run this country or this company, or do you simply believe that you are? So this went on for about another 10 messages, him interacting. And at the end, he said, it's 2 a.m. Thank you. I can actually fall asleep now. And I thought, that is the epitome of why I created this, because likely you were not going to find a coach at 12 a.m. to help you work through this issue that you were going to have to figure out by morning. But Katherine AI was there for you. And that
available anytime, 24/7, any country, any time zone, and not yet, but my understanding is very soon in any language,
right?
Which is going to be huge.
Yes.
But let me be a skeptic here for a minute, because I'm getting this myself too. Yeah. So in the case of that person, if you were talking to that person in real life and they said, I'm 26, nobody respects me, and you're talking to them on Zoom, and you notice that they speak so softly that they sound scared and timid.
Right.
I know as a coach, what I would do is I would record it, play it back, and then I wouldn't say this directly, but after 5 minutes and going back and forth, I would make them realize nothing to do with the fact that you're 26. It's that you're speaking in such a soft tone. You seem scared and you seem like a timid little child. And you could be 80 years old. If you spoke that way, you wouldn't get respect. Now, the current state of artificial intelligence on the platforms you and I are using, it can't detect the volume.
Right.
So, I mean, that's one area where we're not quite there yet. How do you see that evolving as the technology improves?
Well, I'm going to play the devil's advocate here, because I don't necessarily, prior to this clone and AI, I likely would have agreed with you, because after speaking in front of people for 30 years, I really do understand the necessity of, you know, eye-to-eye contact and so on. I'll tell you what I'm finding really fascinating with AI and a clone is that she's picking up how he truly feels. He's not putting on a show. He's not putting on a face, pretending like he's okay. If he were to be speaking to someone face to face, he is literally pouring out how he truly feels. And so now she doesn't have to go through the layers of appearance and, you know, and try and figure out, like, are they smiling because they're just trying to? She's actually getting the true person who truly needs help right to the core. And I'm sure that if that conversation had evolved, She would have then gone on to, well, how do you present yourself? How do you, right? But for the 10 conversations that were there, I believe that he got the confidence he needed to go back into that company, his company, the following morning and possibly act a little bit different. And that was going to come from inside. So I think it's just a different way of approaching it right now.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that once the video interaction comes in, which is coming now, we may get those nuances of face-to-face and so on, where she may actually detect what that person looks like and how they're feeling.
Well, I definitely agree with you. There's some elements that are actually not the same as a human, but superior, because
Yes.
I agree with you completely that there are some people who would feel awkward, embarrassed talking to, this highly respected, serious person, Katherine or TJ. But if they know it's a clone, they'll let their hair down and talk more and not feel rushed. Like, oh, I don't want to use all of Katherine's time or TJ's time. And they can be more expansive. So I do see that as a huge, huge advantage. If you want to know more about Katherine, we posted in the comments her links to her website, to her Instagram page, to her LinkedIn page. So if you want to find out more, and we did have our friends from Korea saying that they just bought your book. So hoping
thank you so much.
enjoy it. And they think they may be the first customer to order from Korea. Beauty of Amazon.
Think they are. Yes,
it's available everywhere.
Wonderful. That's wonderful. If I could also add, I have a podcast called Mindset Medicine, and because I'm a huge proponent of our mindset, and that podcast is now in 21 countries, because I do mix business and mindset, which is why I find I have become even better at what I do because of my clone's answers. Because what I've noticed is, well, that's interesting that you can answer in that way without emotion, without judgment, and you are truly getting to the heart of the matter very quickly. And then it makes you begin to realize, as a human being, how often are we being sidetracked by the person's tone, by what they're showing us, but maybe not actually what they feel. Whereas the clone is really getting to the heart of a matter very quickly. So just these.
But you sold me on the value. I guess the big question is, how does the marketplace learn to value this? Because I'll share with you one of my concerns. I was early into online training. I started my first online course in 1998. Turns out way too soon. Failed. Started again in 2001, invested money, hired programmers, all these things. Lost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
It really wasn't until 2015 that it took off and became wildly profitable. So it all worked out.
Yeah.
But in 1998, I was a little younger than I am today.
Right.
And I'm really hoping that this is not a similar 17-year adoption rate. Now, we've already seen things like GPT, it getting to 100 million users, faster than anything else in the history. So I think things are happening faster.
I actually have an answer for you. I do have an answer for you. And I'll tell you, because I am that curious person and I feel the same way. In 2004, my master's degree was in educational technology. And I had to create an online program for students. And my whole master's degree was, do our minds work more efficiently online and understand better than they do, for example, in a hard copy book? So I took 200 students, high school students, and I created this online, and there were no online courses in 2004 in Cyprus. I mean, that just there was barely the internet at that point.
Well, mine were available, but nobody knew about them and nobody paid for them.
Right. So here I had, I would sit these students in front of the online course and they would answer it and I would grade them. They would automatically get this grade. So what's interesting is there were 90s, 94, 95, 98. And I thought, and I knew these students because I had taught them, I knew their capabilities. So then what I did is I created the same course in hard copy. And 2 weeks later, I had them do the hard copy, which they got 50s and 60s on the same content. And so that's when I realized, yes, people do actually learn better online than they do in hard copy, especially a student's brain. So that got me thinking, well, obviously we have these different ways. So there's something there about the internet, and that's why the internet was created, to mimic the way that our brain's neural chemistry works. So as new technologies have emerged, I too have tried using them. And I've noticed that, those, when you're an early adopter, you will be seen strangely. You will be seen as they're wasting their time. What are they doing? Go back to work, go get a job. What you're doing isn't really real. So in doing all of these things over these years, here is what I've learned. It is my job to educate you on how to use this, on what it is. And so I've been testing my parents, because in their 80s, they are probably one of the few who are in the category of people who would understand it maybe the least, because of how quickly and how exponentially fast it's growing. So what I've been showing my mom is practical ways, for example, using ChatGPT or my AI. She's been getting a lot of health tests these days. And I said, well, do you understand what you're reading? She said, no. And the doctor never explains it. I said, what if? And I love this word. This is one of my favorite words. If you know me, what if? What if we could input all of your data into ChatGPT right now, and they would explain to you everything that health result that you're testing just came back? And she said, really? It'll do that? And I said, yes, absolutely. So that's what we did. And it actually was able to put her brain scan into everyday language so she could understand what those results said. And I said to her, from what this has explained to you, do you feel better now? She said, oh my God, I was so worried. I didn't understand any of the wording it was giving. I now understand that it's not as bad as I thought. I said, exactly. So I said, imagine if we could do this every time you're worried about something. You could just go into, and she calls it chat now. This is her nickname for it. She'll call me up and say, Katherine, can you go into chat and ask if, but do you see what the education does, right? It's show it. I always call it show and tell learning. And I've done this in coaching. I've done this in real estate. If we can show and tell, that is how people will begin to understand just a little bit better in how this works. So that will be how I explain Katherine AI, will be show and tell. This is what one conversation looked like. This is how it helped. Here's another way you can use it. Here's how it helped.
When I look at the history of technology, I'm reminded by things like, the movie industry. When moving pictures started, they just took a movie set of images of a play or a musical. And so you're watching a movie that looked just like the play. The whole concept of, wow, this is a whole different medium. It didn't occur to people yet. It took a number of years for it to evolve. And, I made that mistake with some of my first online courses. I just tried to do it like my in-person course, my in-person workshop, and put it on, and it didn't work. It became its own beast. There's certain stylistic things that are very different for a successful online coach versus an online course versus in person. I mean, my sense is that's what's going to happen with online, with these clones as well, and the artificial intelligence. The question is, what's the best way to get people to understand it? And I mean, short term, I'm going to try to essentially marry the clone to my courses and say, okay, you're in the course now. By the way, if you don't want to follow my whole outline and curriculum and go this way, the way everyone else does, click here and go to my clone and just tell it what you want to focus on. Or let's just dive right in and I can focus 100%. So that's how I'm trying to lure people in.
Mhm.
I know that you're still in the exploratory phase and it's not necessarily public yet, but I got the impression you were marrying your clone experience with people who still want live coaching time with you. Is that the case?
Um, no, not necessarily. I've added it there for anyone who still feels they need that experience. But my ultimate goal is that you will adapt to this on-demand 24/7 coach who will provide you business strategies the moment you need it. You know, after owning businesses for 30 years, I'll tell you, especially at the beginning, when I opened a business in Cyprus, I was young. I didn't even speak the language. And here I am opening this business that didn't even exist there. Had I had this on-demand business coach that I could have just said, here's my idea. Do you see any problems with it? And this AI would answer me and say, well, here are the issues that may come up. Well, thank you. I wouldn't have had to have figured out and had it to experience those issues had I had that. So then I say to myself, you know, as I got into business more and more and more and was making more money, now I could afford a coach who charged me $1,000 an hour. Okay, that's great. But what about the people who are in a startup and don't have $1,000 an hour to get that coaching? Do they not deserve to go down the right path? Right. And so this was my ultimate goal, is to make it so, to democratize coaching at its lowest level. Like, we're just get strategies, a blueprint, social media strategies. If it were on hand, would you not make better decisions? Would you not possibly have closed down the business because you reached, I feel everyone has a ceiling of their knowledge. And when you've exceeded that ceiling of your knowledge, where do you go? Who do you turn to? Well, that's where you're going to start asking people. And that's where you're going to start getting the wrong advice, because they may not know your whole history. They may not know what your mindset is toward that business. But what if you had an AI coach who had followed you the whole way, and they can scale with you because obviously its knowledge is superior to even the smartest human being right now, because that's where we've come to. So if you had that kind of knowledge in your pocket on demand, would that not be the ultimate solution for any entrepreneur or leader out there? I believe it would be. I know I probably wouldn't have made half of the mistakes that I made had I had someone on demand for me.
I mean, I would have loved it. I remember starting my business as a really serious business quarter of a century ago, and having to go to the public library in New York City and check out every book and look at every book on public speaking and media training and try to assimilate knowledge, and wrote my first book, 1001 Tips, which was just me kind of paraphrasing all these other tips. It was slow, it was tedious, and now I can actually go to my clone. There's some restrictions on length now, but I can already see it's going to be pretty easy for me to say to my clone, okay, come up with an outline of, 30 chapters for a book on storytelling, which is something I have a course on. And then I can go back and say, okay, for chapter 1, which is this, now give me, 5 main themes for that chapter.
Yes.
And then I can go back and say, okay, now give me 500 words or 1,000 words on this first segment using my own ideas, not pulling from the internet, not pulling from Dale Carnegie or somewhere, just from me. I mean, I can see this as a tool to create explosive growth, certainly creating books, courses, other things. But it does bring back to what's ultimately going to be the most powerful way to help people. Now, with every new medium, old mediums continue to exist. So it's not like one has to replace the other. But I'm still trying to figure out, what does this really turn into? Is it a better course? Is it a better tutor. You know, there's the tutoring mentality. Is it a better, is it an AI trainer? Because I've been trying all these different hats on, and I couldn't come up with anything better than coach, because I asked myself, like, a trainer is typically someone you're there, you have for a day, for a week. A coach, you know, if you're a top basketball coach or football coach, you're there for 10 years and you can be valued at $10 million a year. I don't have any trainer typically making $10 million a year if they're just doing day-long trainings. So there seems to be more value, and it's more long-term, and it's more about a whole experience. The term tutor resonates with some people, but that seems more like young people, or, you know, younger than 22 in school. Whereas everyone understands, you know, Tiger Woods can be, you know, at one point the greatest golfer in the world, still has a coach. The best athletes in the world have coaches their entire career. So to me, that metaphor seemed to resonate the most, but I don't know if people are going to like the idea of thinking of it as just a different type of an online course, or with a beginning, middle, and an ending point. Sometimes people do like knowing, I'm in an 8-week course and I'm going to finish in 8 weeks. And I guess the clones could be structured that way. Have you experimented yet with any other structures? Because, you know, part of the beauty of a clone is it can do anything.
Yes.
But when you can do anything, quite often that creates paralysis of, I don't know where to start. It's like it used to be easy to figure out what to watch on TV. You had 3 choices. Now sometimes I'm looking at, you know, I've got Netflix and Amazon Prime and HBO. I can't figure out what to watch because I've got 10 million choices. How do you see people handling that dilemma of too many choices and their clone could do anything?
I do believe that it comes down to what is your ultimate goal, right? Why do you have this clone? What do you want to do with it? What is your hope? So I know what my ultimate goal is right now for that clone. I know for myself, I have been using AI in even more advanced ways. So as you were just talking, I'm just going to help brainstorm. I'll be like a temporary coach for you, because I heard you talking about something. And I thought to myself, well, I already know that this is going to be growing exponentially. Like, I already know we're going to have interactive video in the next 5 weeks. I already know it's going to be in multiple languages, probably in the next 60 days. So here's what I'm thinking as a trainer, for example, public speaking. Okay. So we train our clones. We train our clones with all of our knowledge that we've gained over decades of experience. So what if, when you have that interactive version, you know, this client is going to be practicing their speeches interactively, and the clone is there to help correct them, to help them enunciate, to help them project, and add a little bit of this, knowing all of what you have trained it to do. Why not be able to do that on their phone? Like, I'm sitting waiting for my son to finish his soccer practice. Why could I not hone in on my skills right here in my car instead of watching Netflix? Right. And so this is, to me, this is what one of the greatest advantages of this AI clone is it's at my time. I'm not scheduling an appointment where I have to wait till next week to talk about this very issue that I'm dealing with today. I can just go on and deal with the issue today and move on. Right? And so now, don't I become more effective in my business? If I've answered the question that I've been thinking about all night long, and I don't have to wait till Friday, my appointment with someone, don't I become more efficient in what I do? Don't I become more effective? Or maybe I'm actually growing my business even faster, because now I'm not waiting week over week to ask my question, but my question is being answered now. And now I can step up and move to the next level tomorrow instead of next week.
And Katherine, I should have asked you this in advance, but if you would like to share your clone in front of people and ask it a question to give a demo, you're more than welcome to. That's something I've been doing a lot on my channel lately.
Yeah,
And
I would love to.
okay, well, all you have to do is hit the share button. I'm going to stop my screen share. If you want to share it, or if you want to give me the link, and I'm happy to do it. And we can actually see, because this is something people, it's human nature. If you can actually see it and experience it rather than listening to someone explain it, it's always going to be better.
Absolutely.
Katherine, we're with Katherine of Katherine AI, who is at the forefront, one of the founding individuals in the whole digital cloning movement, digital coaching movement. And again, you don't like to use the word clone. How would you like me to describe it? A digital tool, coaching tool?
I call her the AI coach. She's the
Okay.
AI coach. I'm just looking to see where where the share button is.
At the very bottom, if you should see a sign that says present.
Yes, I do.
You hit that.
Share
It will
screen.
then give you a choice. There's two separate buttons you have to hit to share the audio. That's the only tricky part about StreamYard. While Katherine's getting this ready,
I've experimented with my beta testers, and what I found is in the written answers, they most definitely want longer answers. I did try, and the shorter the answer, people hop off. Because if we were having a conversation, it wouldn't just end after 3 sentences. So we really are trying to mimic what that would feel like in real life. So I did experiment between 80 words, but then I went to 300 words, and the sweet spot is just after the 200, around 220, 230. Unfortunately, we cannot alter the voice call and how its lengthiness. What I have found works is the instruction. So I have an onboarding for anyone who wants to use Katherine AI, and my onboarding is me giving video instruction. You know, if you want to use this clone really well, you can decide, like, I'd like a short answer about this, or I'd like more strategies about this. And
now, how do they get a short answer unless they specifically say to the clone, please give me a short answer?
Way. And that's where I think the education comes in. I've learned how to use ChatGPT very, very well. So I've now created, lead magnets, and I have little guides that I've given people who are entrepreneurs and real estate and mortgage and all types of different industries. I have guides how to use ChatGPT. Well, this is really no different. If you're looking for a shorter answer, just say, I'd like a shorter answer on this. If you are looking for, and you can interrupt that phone call just as you would a person who's speaking on the phone. If you interrupt it, she will change topic and start talking about whatever it is that you're asking.
Now, I'm curious, how many seconds are you finding? Because I find if I go to the Delphi website and I'm talking to Dara, the CEO's clone, it seems to interrupt after just 1 or 2 seconds. When I'm talking to my own clone, it does seem like there are a lot of times where I have to talk over it for 6 seconds, which, as a former talk show host, I'm used to talking over people, which may or may not be a good skill. But I do think it would be off-putting for some people. Are you seeing the same kind of lag?
Yes, there's about a 5-second lag in the call. Where I was having a greater difficulty was in the text answers, because I was asking my beta testers to use always. So for anyone who is just sort of maybe tuning in now, when you speak to our AI clones, you can either text straight to your phone, so literally on the go texting. You can chat in the chat box, or you can have a phone call. So I was having some problems with the lag on the text, where I would say hello, and it was almost 25, 30 seconds. And you were wondering, like, am I going to get an answer? So I actually went back to Delphi and I said, what's going on? They did some investigation and it was a glitch. So I can go in now, and within about 2 to 3 seconds, I will get an answer now.
We're speaking to Katherine of Katherine AI. If you want to know when this is really available and available to you to possibly use, Katherine, is the best thing for them to go to your website and sign up for your newsletter?
It is actually,
people watching this
are going to live and available now. It is absolutely live and available. I have people already using it. It is on Katherine, as you see my name here on the screen, Katharine KatherineAI.com. KatherineAI.com.
Okay, so KatherineAI.com. You can go there right now, and I do have it up on my screen now, and it's available. So if I go to Katherine AI, listen, I'm a business person. I love making money. That's how we ultimately help more people. But I noticed on your program, I basically had to decide right away to buy, right? Is that because you've already fed them through other ways, or how are you seeing a trial versus you get the first 5 questions for free and the next 5 questions is a threshold?
Right.
How are you seeing work people in?
So this is where I am making these final changes today on my landing page. Is I have installed Katherine AI chatbot. So you can actually trial Katherine AI right there on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
So I have,
and I've just pulled it up on my own, and we'll just show that again with people so they can see what we're talking about, because this does really lead me to my next big question for you, which is right now the setting with Delphi, which is the platform you and I both use. The default is typing in a question. There's a microphone that lets you dictate your question. There's a phone that lets you speak your question. And since I'm in the speaking business, I've tried to steer people towards speaking, because I want them to speak. I want them to practice speaking. So I'm having to give them the different URL. What are you finding the preference is of your own people of getting information from you by text, by writing or dictating, or versus talking to you?
100% everyone is writing. 100% of it. And, you know, maybe I have been in real estate too long. Maybe I've been in teaching too long, but I have learned at this point that when we are trying to teach something that is new, first we allow people to use what comes naturally to them in the way that they feel comfortable. And then we slowly start adding in those new steps. Hey, why don't you try this? But I find that for anything new, first let's feel comfortable in what we're doing, and whichever way that is comfortable for you. And now we will try the next step, which would be the phone or whatever the case is.
Well, I guess my question, I certainly am sympathetic to everything you've said. I guess my question is the way the current interface is, we're encouraging people to say, because that's the first thing you see. The phone is sort of way over here. Whereas I'm assuming if someone wants a live coaching session with you, you're talking to them first. You're not asking them to type, what their business objectives are. I mean, I know personally, I hate to type.
Well, what I do is I actually want them to tell me a little bit about themselves in writing.
Okay.
And then we get to a Zoom call, and now I can see what they've written to me. But then what I do is I then match that to the conversation that we're having. And I find that the conversation is what uncovers a lot of white space and gaps in what they told me. Because sometimes we have this story that we're able to write, but if I were to ask you to tell me that story, you were going to fill it in with life and emotion and all the different things that happened along the way in that story. And I find that this is very similar, but the writing part sort of gives people this comfort of somewhere to start. And then they're like, okay, well, she knows what I'm like now. And then when you get there and you start going through each sentence that they talked about, that's where you start to sort of open up.
So tell me where I'm wrong. Here's my thought process, where you look at the New York City publishing world, and there, I guess now sort of shrunk to 3 or 4 big publishers. But a publishing world is a big world. And a lot of people make money from publishing. So that's one pie. There's the network radio world, and Howard Stern makes a lot of money, and that's the whole radio world in some ways is bigger than the publishing world when you look at the top stars, and certainly if you include the Joe Rogans of the world. But then you look at the Hollywood world, how big the infrastructure is with Hollywood, where you have not only text and audio, but you have people's faces, you have live action. So to me, what I'm most excited about is when the video comes in. I think that is going to blow people away.
Oh, I think
I
so.
think that's going to be just mind popping. And that's going to be what's going to make every author, expert, trainer, coach, consultant in the world think, oh my God, if I don't get in on this, I'm going to be unemployed and unemployable and bankrupt in a year.
Yeah.
That's my thinking. But tell me where I'm wrong.
So here is where I, over the years of having innovative and start things new, I have had to learn that not everyone has my curiosity and enthusiasm. And so that's where sometimes, although I want to just keep going forward with all these new things, we have to pull back and say, but there are people who have yet to understand what AI is, and they're still afraid of it. So first, which is why I wrote this there.
Yeah. Old-fashioned paper book, Gutenberg style technologies. Nothing wrong with
first, let me
using
start
all
here.
technologies.
Exactly. Let me start here for those who are comfortable, and let's get them to get their feet wet. Now let's move into, okay, well, you know what Google is, so let's try asking a question. It's almost like the way that I was explaining ChatGPT to my mom, right? There's this AI, we don't have to be afraid of it. It's going to actually be more effective than the doctor who did not explain your test to you, because they've got all the patience in the world. They don't mind how many questions you ask. And she says, okay, so then we start testing. Well, try this. Now try this. And then we move to the next step. I don't think we can move to video before they have a phone call. Mm-hmm. Right? First, you have to understand what it's like to talk to an AI clone, because I think the video will be overwhelming. Oh my God, now I'm talking to a robot. Right? So it's these baby steps where we have so much enthusiasm. Like, I can't wait. But I also have to dial it back and say, okay, Katherine, this is just like video. We're going to have to get people used to it before we move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's certainly possible to chase trends. And I know so many people who are like, oh, TJ, you got to get in on Bitcoin and you got to get in on the metaverse. And I was always very skeptical of those.
Yeah.
And to this day, we don't want to start the flame wars. I'm not a fan of Bitcoin or cryptocurrency at all. I do think this is profoundly different. Because we do know that human beings like to communicate. Yes. And we do know that, Bloom's 2 Sigma problem, which is people learn better if it's one-on-one coaching versus a classroom or watching a video on demand.
Right.
I just don't think anyone can seriously doubt that.
Well, and also we learn better when it's interactive and not one way. When we are passive learners, meaning I'm watching a video and I'm just sitting there, passive learning, really, you will not take in a lot. We know that people learn by interaction. That is how you learn faster. So this is, in fact, going to speed up people's growth, whether it's their mindset, whether it's business strategy, whatever that is that they're looking to speed up, that is what this will do.
Let me ask you, how do you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I really want to talk about the idea of a trend. I was actually having this conversation with my husband last night, and I said, this frustration, how am I going to get people to embrace this? I think that they think, and my mom every day on the phone, she's like, Katherine, I don't think people understand what Katherine AI is. She tells me this every day. And I'm like, okay, Mom, I will try and explain it better. But, he said to me, the first hurdle is to get people to understand that AI isn't a trend, that it's not, I was supposed to be teaching basically a workshop about my book at the local library. And the organizers of the library said, oh my gosh, Katherine, this is going to be so amazing. It's going to be so good. No, only 2 people have signed up because everyone else is so afraid of AI. Well, what is she going to tell us? Is she going to tell us that we all need to talk to robots? I know what that mindset is. So for me, I am trying locally to get more people to read my book so that they'll then understand what the next step is. But if they don't understand the foundation of AI is just here as an enhancement, just here to help us. So it's the idea that it is not a trend, but if you go back and TJ, I'm sure, have you watched any of those early videos? There's one that goes around the internet, and I think it's Good Morning America, where they're talking about what the internet is and the www. And it's interesting as we sit here now, when we would have been watching Good Morning America in 1996, when they had that clip rolling, and they're like,
I think it was Bryant Gumbel talking to Katie.
That's right.
About
yes. And they're saying, well, what is this www and why would I write that in? And did you know you can actually watch a video on it? We look today and we think, oh my God, were we that naive? But yes, we were. Yeah. And that's exactly where we are right now. That's exactly where we are. Yeah. However, I do think that the integration of it will move faster now, because it's not completely out of the dark like the internet was. Yeah. We have been accustomed to these newer things.
Well, the adoption rates for ChatGPT have been faster than any other technology in the history of the world. So it is coming. It is coming quickly. I mean, I am convinced, billions and trillions of dollars will be made. I'm not talking about AI in general. I'm talking about this specific cloning technology. And I'm convinced it's going to make a lot of individual subject matter experts wildly wealthy. Am I absolutely certain it's going to affect me that way? No, I'm hoping to be. Right. I'm hoping to help a lot of people and help myself and my legacy. I don't know for certain that that's going to happen, but I'm absolutely convinced this is going to be an extreme wealth creation machine. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind about that.
Yes, I feel the same way. It's just that it's this little hurdle of helping people to understand just how helpful and crucial it is to them.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question about business strategy, how you're planning on using this. I mean, you teach communication as well. The reason I'm really effective when I coach a CEO, a president, a prime minister, a leader, they come to me for a day of media training or presentation training. They've done some homework and filled out some forms, and I typically have them made a video. But once we start, there's very little lecturing for me. If they're coming for presentation training, I'll say, okay, stand up and talk to me for 3 minutes about what you do. I record it. We play it back. I don't ask them, do you want to be video recorded? No. They don't have any choice. I record them. I play it back. We critique it. I ask them, just tell me what you like. If you say anything you don't like, I'm going to very rudely interrupt you and say, stop. We have all day for that. Just tell me what you like about yourself and what you see. Your voice, body language, your anything you like. And then I'll critique it and I'll say, okay, let's do another one now. All I want you to focus on is doing more of what you like. We got all day to talk about negatives. We do it again, and I say, did you make any improvement? And invariably, if they focused on one thing, they made improvement. Then I say, okay, now let's focus on things you don't like. So we do series of exercise, typically a dozen in a day, where the ultimate goal is to get them to the point where they're looking at the screen saying, wow, TJ, if I can be half as good as she is, half as good as he is, I'll be the star of my industry. And they're pointing to a video of themselves. But I'm having to really steer them. I give them no choice. They have to be recorded. They have to talk about what they like. They have to then, but it's extraordinarily successful because they see the results. They love it. They love me. They're happy to pay the $10,000 or whatever I'm charging them that day. It's a huge success. My question is, it's been a complete failure with the online courses. I beg people to do it. Less than 1% will actually record themselves. But they're only paying, $10 sometimes.
Right.
And the question for me is, how can I use my clone to really create an experience that's similar to the in-person coaching experience, where I know people love it. I know I get great results. and to not be like the experience of an online course where far less than 1% really get transformation. That's my question to you. And our colleague Janice, who's another Canadian, is writing saying hello and enjoying the conversation. So, Katherine, what's
Yeah.
your advice to me on how do I create it more like a live coaching experience and not like the video on demand experience?
So this is what I have learned in the last 2 months of having people, having created it and then beta testing. What I was hoping to hear from my beta testers was, wow, this really sounds like you. And I actually got that. And the reason I think I got that is because what I fed and what I trained Katherine AI was every video I have ever done, video, right? It's not written content. There must be, I couldn't even tell you how many videos I have uploaded. And so therefore she was able to pick out the way that I question, the nuances that I have. And so this is what I'm thinking, that if I were a public speaking trainer, what I would be doing is the majority, because we can actually go in and tell our clone which we want to be more relevant in our answers, answer first.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would be doing was all of these, and I hope that some of your coaching or training has been recorded.
Oh, yeah. I've uploaded 14,000 files into my clone, and it has 14 million words,
Okay.
and about 8,000 of those are videos, and then I've got books and then audios. So there are, I can't imagine anyone in the world has more videos in their clone about communication
skills. What about your
skills.
custom instructions into your clone? Have you set all of those?
Yes.
So I'm wondering if the wording of those custom instructions needs to be changed so that the clone understands the way an experience would be with you the moment that your new client comes on board. What that first thing is, I'm wondering if your custom instructions need to be changed to exactly what would happen in one of those sessions with you, so that it's almost a mimic of what it would be like.
Well, that's the ultimate goal. Unfortunately, the technology at this moment doesn't do that, because if someone's in with me, I say, okay, we're going to start now, go, and I've hit record. My clone does not have the ability to record someone speaking and playing it back to them. My clone can ingest what someone is saying and comment on the message.
Yes.
But it can't say, TJ, let's look at this video together. And can you see right now that your eyes have darted left to right, looking nervous 8 times in the first 30 seconds? It can't do that yet. I'm hoping it will. But that's what I do in real life.
Maybe you're just trying to fast forward where it's actually at right now. And maybe with this new video integration, you will have a greater capability of someone being able to say, okay, right now you're going to do a spontaneous 2-minute talk with me. Go ahead, let's count down, right? And your clone can actually do that. That person can do it. Then your next custom instruction is, once client has completed 2 minutes, then, right? So it's like these little prompts. So I think that we will have to iterate as well as this grows exponentially and the technology changes. We too will have to change the way we have trained our clones to be able to embrace all of these new ways of interaction.
Yeah, and forgive me for some of you thinking it was too in the weeds, but this is why we're here, is to really learn how to do this and test it. We're both pioneers of sorts. They let you have 20 different custom instructions, and I did that. It wasn't following some of them. I specifically said, do not say the words like moreover or lastly. And it was still doing that. And they said, well, it says 20, but if you ratchet it back to 10, you'll have a better luck with that.
Right. Yes.
Have you found the magic sweet spot between the description that you're giving it, I forgot the exact name, versus the instructions, and how many instructions you're giving it?
So my description is what I understood to be my overall goal for Katherine AI. What is your goal when you're talking to someone? That's sort of the overarching description. My custom instruction, I have had to go back many times to tweak. It does follow it quite well, but I did realize that I was too wordy, and I needed to make the instructions far more direct.
Yeah.
Which was do not, or every time do this. And when I started making them more direct, it was following them better.
Janice writes in, mentioned about trend. AI is early adopter stage in the diffusion of innovation. Looks like it will be before AI and after AI. Yeah, I definitely think people will be looking at it right. These last couple of years, and I think the next couple of years are going to be hugely, hugely transformational. And I don't see us going back into an AI winter again anytime soon, but it is hard to predict. I'm not trying to predict. I'm trying to use the tools as they exist right now in a meaningful way. If you want to get up to date and caught up on this, I would strongly suggest you fish around at katherineai.com. Ask it some questions.
Yeah.
Ask katherineai.com if there's a program you think might help you, because it's up, it's running. Katherine didn't wait 10 years to hop into this. The technology became available at a consumer. I mean, with any new technology, it's always tough to decide when do you hop in. We could have decided to do Uber in 2005, raised $100 billion. We would have failed. The infrastructure with bandwidth and cell phones just wasn't there. So many things have to be in alignment. I was, in retrospect, way too early for online training, but I fortunately had the staying power that even though it took 15 plus years, once it hit, it really took off. Mary says, thanks for the fascinating conversation between both of you. Mary, thanks. Let us know, what did you find fascinating? What was actually useful? Are you planning on taking anything you heard from today to use it? Are you planning on creating your own clone? Because here's what my prediction, Katherine, and again, I mostly want to focus on what we can do right now. But I do think that with a lot of internet technologies, there is a winner take all that happens in a lot of fields, where you look at a lot of the online platforms, the people who got on early dominated, did so well and made so much money. The people who came in late, they may have had a better product in some cases. They couldn't claw their way to the top of the search engines. And that's something, I don't mean to be smug about it, but has benefited me a lot on the online training platform Udemy. I did a complete storytelling course when there were only 2 other courses. Mine became a bestseller, has made a fortune. And people who just did as good a course and uploaded it yesterday or last week or last year didn't make any money. They waited too long.
Right.
We have a situation now, to me, that's very exciting about the online coaching world, because I think the most successful coaches in the world, if you're already traveling around the world, speaking to 5,000 people, getting $100,000 a speech, you frankly have the luxury of not spending time on this. You're getting millions of dollars of revenue every month. And there's the basic problem of, Kodak, they invented digital photography. They didn't want to cannibalize their existing business. If you're an online coach and you're already making millions, assuming an existing life coach, let's say, and you're already making millions, there's the tendency to think, why do I want to cannibalize? Someone could come to my event for $5,000. And then you've got 1 million coaches who've just started in the business, or they're making no money, and they're thinking, this looks interesting, but I'm not going to spend, $200 a month or $399 a month to get going. Let me wait. So you got this sweet spot of people who are not making, the $10 million a year and are not just starting. They're going to be the new superstars. They're going to be the ones who really benefit, because we saw that with YouTube, for example. It wasn't television stars and cable TV stars who made a lot of money on YouTube. It was people brand new
Mhm.
who just hopped in. And we've seen that with every technology.
Mhm.
Just
Mhm.
wondering what your predictions are for how this plays out.
So it's really interesting. And the more conversation I have with people, especially people who are within the knowledge industry. So I was on a podcast last week, and after the podcast finished, the podcast host said to me, he said, "Well, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to piggyback off of you. I'd like you to get your feet wet. I'd like you to make all the mistakes. And in 6 months' time, I would like to help you expand the topics that you do, where you could take on." And this is something else that I have as a future thought, but it won't be that far off, is to almost have like a conglomerate of different types of training and coaching available, all on demand, like Netflix, but for knowledge. And he said, "Well, I just want you to do all this. I want you to figure it out for 6 months, and then I'll just pay you, and we'll create an AI clone of me to go under what you're doing." And so I think that this is what will happen, is that
Kind of like a Udemy for clones, essentially.
Yeah. Where you're going to have the people who say, I don't want to learn how to interact with a clone. I don't want to learn how to program it. I don't want to learn how to train it. You do all that, and then you can just do it for me, or whatever that is.
Well, there certainly will be consulting firms that spring up.
There will.
People forget 1995. If you wanted a website, you didn't just go to Wix or something and spend $99 and you're up that day. Companies hired web development companies, and they wrote checks for $10,000, $25,000, $50,000 to create a website. I think there's going to be a space for consulting firms to help large and mid-size and some successful small entrepreneurs get their clones up. There's no doubt about that. There could also be a place for a Udemy for clones. I would say the platform we're on is sort of the equivalent of what Teachable or Thinkific is for people who want to do online courses. They'll be the host, but you got to go out and market it and do everything. There's going to be different niches out there for every step of the way. Katherine, you've been so generous with your time. I could talk about this all day long. One question I forgot to ask you, though, is I would love to see, and I don't want to do it myself because I'm a horrible organization person. I would love for there to be like some founding trade association, essentially, for AI clones, because to me it is so different. There are ethical issues. I would love to be, a part of a founding group. But I personally don't want to start a nonprofit trade association. So if you hear of anything like that, Katherine, one other courtesy we extend to every guest here, which I haven't done yet, is we're all about people communicating effectively, promoting themselves, pitching themselves, being confident, being comfortable. So we always give every guest 2 minutes to just talk, no questions, no interruptions, no TJ on the screen, but you're on the screen to promote, whether it's your book, Katherine AI, your website, whatever it is you want to pitch. So I want to give you 2 minutes right now, right before we close out, to promote, sell. We're not like a lot of websites and Facebook groups that say no promotion. No, we want you to promote. We're trying to empower people, and we like giving people great role models as you are, so they can see, well, that was a great pitch. I could do some of that in my own. So with that as the setup, I'm going to take myself off camera and let you speak for 2 minutes promoting anything and everything you do.
Wow. Okay. Well, I am Katherine Loucaidou, and I have been in business for over 30 years. I have had health challenges that I have worked through. I've had recovered, reversed. So what I have done is everything I bring forward is out of experience. It is out of resilience. It is out of, my life was almost taken away from me when I was 33. So I decided that I would change the way that I go forward in life. And I would try and do it as fearlessly as possible. And so I bring that to my coaching. I believe that when you coach holistically, you are looking at the whole person in front of you. And I hope that anyone who is getting into business, whether you work from home, whether you work in an office job, think of what you do and think to yourself, is there a way that I could do this better? Is there a way that I could improve my life? And that is why I wrote AI Secrets for, there we are, for unstoppable business success and life hacks, because I believe that our life and our work are intermingled, right? We can't separate them. When I coach people on the person that they are, not just the business that they're running, because I do believe that the two are associated. I created Katherine AI, a digital AI clone, but I call her your 24/7 on-demand holistic coach. If you need help to lose weight, as I am working through 8 pounds in 31 days, simply because I was able to stay accountable to someone who was on my phone 24/7, cheerleading me on, saying, you know what? It's okay. Here's what we're going to do with our food today, because yesterday we decided to have a little dessert at the restaurant. It talks about business strategy. How often have you felt overwhelmed? How often have you felt like, I don't know, is that the right decision I should be making right now? If you had someone, an AI coach, who could coach you through problems that you encounter, or lying in bed at night, it's 2 a.m. and you're thinking, oh, but what about this and what about that? What if you could just have that discussion and then fall back asleep, execute the next morning on whatever it is that is concerning you? Maybe you just have that negative mindset. You wake up every day and the world does not feel like a wonderful place. It happens. I've been there. After my open heart surgery, triple bypass surgery, and a stroke, let me tell you, I was not waking up chipper and happy in the morning. But when you can learn and you have someone to bounce your ideas off of, who can help you put things into perspective, to me, that means everything. And what if all of that was affordable and accessible to anyone in the world? That has always been my goal. So I hope that you have taken information from today's session with TJ Walker. And I hope that you have just found one thing that you believe will help you to move forward today to enhance your life that much better.
Fantastic job, Katherine. And I apologize because I was going to let you go, but I just can't let you go without asking you another question. I love the idea of you using your Katherine AI to help with diet, exercise, personal development. Are you having to go on? Because ultimately, I would like to the point where I could tell my clone, okay, reach out to me every day at 7 and tell me, my top habits to focus on today, and send me a text and send me an email, call me. Mm-hmm. It doesn't do that yet. Are you finding have you put something on your calendar saying, call my digital clone at 7 a.m. to give me these reminders? Or how are you actually starting the process? Because it's the trigger mechanisms that need to be automated, I think, to really have a big impact.
They do. However, I have learned a lot of self-discipline in my life. So I myself know that if I want something to work, I need to be intentional. I'm not leaving it to chance. I really want to lose the amount of weight that I want to lose, simply because I want to increase my longevity. I'm very healthy. I don't take medicine after everything I've been through. I don't even take anything at all. I'm very lively, and I'm like this basically till I go to bed. But the way that I do that is I'm very intentional. So I know if my body's tired, I will intentionally take time off. When I know that I want to lose weight, I will intentionally check in with my breakfast, with my lunch, with my dinner, because I'm respecting myself. If I've decided I'm going to make a decision, I'm going to respect that decision, and I'm going to try and get the help that I need. But it is in my planner that I do want to have those. If a client says to Katherine AI, I would like you to remind me every morning at 7 a.m. that I should wake up, and here is my goal is to send out something about mindset, 7 a.m. Then talk about how would you like to start your day? What kind of meal? And then mix in business.
I apologize. I want to make sure I heard you correctly. You're saying that's the ultimate goal, to send out an email at a set time if a user is telling a clone?
Well, I'm hoping it's not email. I'm hoping it's even like a text message or a voice text. Good morning, so-and-so. I just wanted to remind you how great you are. And no matter what happens today, you're ready for it. This would be amazing to wake up to someone saying that to you in a voice that is recognizable, that you trust.
And do you think that'll be in 6 months, a year, 2 weeks?
Oh, no, not with AI. I think that by the end of summer, I think we're going to have so much more capability. You know, there's something that I've been telling people, and that right now, this era that we're in with AI is the dumbest that the AI will ever be. And it's still pretty amazing. So imagine where we're going. And yes, there could be negativity. Some people have said, well, you don't seem to be very negative toward it. Well, I'm choosing not to be. I'm well aware that there are deep fakes that go on. I'm well aware that it can be used for negativity, but I am.
And those things are getting a lot of attention.
They
as they should, but it's kind of like, you know, do people do scams on the internet? Yes. Do we want to go back to the days of no internet? I don't think so. There's so much potential with these clones.
I have been receiving emails from princes offering me $2 million for 20 years, you know, that there's no difference. So why is this any different? Because we're just labeling it as something different, but it's not. But what if more people were to use it in the right way? Now we're all training the AI in the right way for the better. So that's the way I choose to look at everything. If everyone were to just use it responsibly, we're going to have something pretty amazing at our fingertips.
Well, I think we can both confidently predict some people will not, but you and I are going to be using it in, I think, the ultimate positive way, which is helping people improve their lives, whether it's their business life, their personal life, their health. It is a truly transformational, I would argue, it's potentially the most transformational technology in the history of humanity with respect to communication. That's the sense I think we both share. KatherineAI.com is the website. Folks, it's not too late. We're still early in the AI.
It's early.
But things are happening so quickly. I mean, 6 months from now, it may be there's a lot of crowd in certain niches. If you right now decide you're going to be #1 in using AI clones for real estate for your town, you probably have no competition. And whether it's 6 months or 6 years from now, you may have a ton of last question, and I know I've said that before. How many instances do you have? And ultimately, do you see everything sort of coming down to one clone and it asking people the right questions to send them on? Or do you see it as 1,000 different clones? Or at least initially, are you using using 5 clones, or 5 instances, or how many different versions of your clone?
I have two. I have Katherine AI, and I have Katherine AI Explorer, which is the one that's on Katherine AI, where you can just test. You can explore with her, right? You can explore what it's like to talk to an AI clone. I believe that we are people who are multidimensional. And so I wanted to be a multidimensional coach. And so I didn't want someone to have to go to all these different places to get different advice. I want you to go to one place and get everything you need, whether it's business or mindset or health or wellness. That was my goal.
Great. KatherineAI.com is the website. The book is AI Secrets. You can look in the show notes for her website, her LinkedIn, her Twitter, and her other social connections. Katherine, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you so much, TJ. This has been a pleasure.
Great.